3 years after Sion, the hero, sealed the gates of hell, demons have somehow returned. 3 months later, in Shea village, Tuka is harvesting a special radish he names Catherine. He even puts a Nisok on it. Yuna sees this and calls him out. 2 men passing by also have radishes with Nisoks, keeping it a secret. Yuna wishes the hero were her childhood friend, not Tuka, which annoys him. He says he only needs his home and Yuna, and then unconsciously puts Nisoks on her. Yuna is irritated, warning of potential demon attacks. Tuka shows off his anti-demon pitfall trap, but Yuna mocks it and walks away. Just then, a demon appears, causing panic in the village. Yuna trips, and the demon closes in. Tuka tries to lead it into his trap with the smell of roast pork, but the demon hates pork and goes after Yuna. Tuka has no choice but to fight with his hoe. Luckily, the hero, Shun, arrives in time and slays the demon. The villagers gather around the hero in happiness, and Yuna expresses her gratitude to Shun, who recalls a past incident involving her 3 years ago. Tuka feels uncomfortable listening to Shin and becomes jealous of Yuna's admiration for the hero. He tries to intervene, but Yuna responds coldly. Shin's stomach grumbles with hunger, and Yuna kindly invites him for a homemade meal. However, the hero catches the enticing scent of Tuka's roast pork and begins following it. Unknowingly, Shin blunders right into one of Tuka's pitfalls, and he is tragically skewered by the punjies, resulting in his death. Despair engulfs everyone as they realize that Hell's Gate is now unsealable without the hero. Yuna, overwhelmed with grief and frustration, shouts at Tuka to take responsibility. However, the villagers correct her, insisting that he must face judgment instead. Tuka tries to defend himself, explaining that the hero fell into his trap without his permission. But this only leads to more angry outbursts from the villagers. In a bid to hide the evidence, Tuka proposes that they bury Shin's body. He points out that nobody would believe the hero died in such a manner. The villagers reluctantly agree to Tuka's plan, and they bury Shin's body under the cover of night. Unbeknownst to them, as Tuka and 2 villagers were burying Shin, a pair of eyes watches over their actions, silently observing the situation. The next morning, Tuka awakens in Sion's body. He visits Yuna's home, and her reaction confirms that she sees him as Shin. Taking advantage of the situation, Tuka convinces Yuna to dress provocatively and wear knee socks. However, Yuna notices the rotting smell from Shin's body and slaps him. Tuka admits his true identity, and Yuna becomes furious before she tries to kill him. To prove he's Tuka, he brings up Yuna's past as magical girl Yunarin and gets beaten up by her. After their altercation, they wonder why Tuka is in Shin's body. They hear a voice from Tuka's home, revealing that Tuka discovered the involvement of necromancy. They find Anri, struggling to avoid falling into another of Tuka's pitfalls. After rescuing her, Anri explains that Tuka is destined to become the new hero, as promised to Shin, to save the world by transferring someone worthy into his body after Shin's death. Anri tells Tuka that she swapped their souls so he can save the world. She keeps Tuka's original body, an ancient magical tool known as a living coffin, to make sure Tuka obeys. To avoid his death, Tuka accepts becoming the hero. Yuna accompanies Tuka and Anri on their world-saving journey. During their travels, Tuka faces accusations of impersonating Sion because he's unable to wield Sion's holy sword. Anri explains the situation to Sion's old friend Kyle, who rescues Tuka from an angry crowd. Yuna suggests Tuka can prove himself by killing demons. Anri confirms Tuka can't use the sword or stop Sion's body from rotting. Kyle challenges Tuka to take his soul and become the hero. Kyle claims he was just joking, which leaves Tuka feeling scared. He tries to steal back his body from Anri's necklace while she sleeps, but instead witnesses Kyle attempting to kill him by stabbing the necklace. Realizing that Kyle wants to harm him, Tuka tries to avoid Kyle during their quest. While battling demons, they get separated from Anri, and Kyle reveals his jealousy towards Sion for becoming the hero. He confesses that he tried to assassinate Sion multiple times in the hope that Anri would swap their souls. Yuna intervenes to prevent Kyle from harming Tuka, and Anri overhears everything Kyle says. Kyle reveals that necromancers are part demon, and if he takes Anri's crystal heart, he can swap himself into Sion's body. Anri admits that necromancers are humans born on the other side of Hell's Gate, leading to mutations like her crystal heart. Tuka decides that Anri is trustworthy, and he'll do his best as the hero. Anri even promises to marry him if he saves the world. Tuka tricks Kyle into one of his traps, sending him deep into the ocean. The quest reward doesn't cover their debts from buying equipment and food, so Tuka decides they'll journey to the royal capital to earn more money. Meanwhile, shadowy figures begin to target Princess Marguerite. Tuka's body rots until only his skeleton remains. He meets King Larkvault of Faerûn, wearing a mask of Sion's face, only to learn that Larkvault desperately wanted Sion to marry Princess Marguerite. Tuka is reluctantly forced into agreeing to a date at a masquerade festival in 2 days. Marguerite suffers from mess, a condition that drains her mana and can be fatal unless she consumes vast amounts of food. Dr. Leland discovers that Amri is a necromancer and offers a potion to restore Tuka if they help hunt devils for the city. During their hunt, they meet Knight Cerwela. Yuna and Amri are kidnapped by the necromancer skeleton man. Tuka finds out that Marguerite gains weight after every meal, and then Mess rapidly shrinks her. He tries to put stockings on her plumper thighs, which greatly upsets her tutor, Isaac. Marguerite visits her doctor, and while bored, Tuka searches for Yuna and Anri, coming across Leland, who is also Marguerite's doctor and skeleton man. Leland unveils his sinister plan to Tuka: kill everyone, remove their flesh, resurrect them as immortal skeletons, and give their flesh to the devils in exchange for peace, all while framing Anri. At the masquerade, Tuka is excited when Marguerite deliberately wears stockings, further enraging Isaac, who correctly suspects that Tuka is not the real Sion. Marguerite realizes that Tuka is not Sion due to his markedly different personality, and Isaac and Cerwela overhear her. She runs away and is discovered by Leland, who lures her to the slums, where he has already turned dozens of people into skeletons. Tuka tries to rescue her, showing that he is genuinely a good person, but Leland knocks his skull off, and he loses consciousness as Leland escapes with Marguerite. Tuka manages to convince Isaac and Cerwela to trust him. Together, they infiltrate Leland's dungeon and rescue Yuna and Amri. Leland begins a ceremony to remove Marguerite's flesh and marry her. Tuka interrupts the ceremony while Cerwela battles Leland's demon allies. Leland uses a mana-increasing potion, summoning more skeletons to retrieve Marguerite, injuring Isaac. They escape to the woods, astonishing Anri with Tuka's tactical brilliance. Tuka reveals that as a child, he learned stealth and strategy to survive demon attacks after his parents' deaths. His confession leads Marguerite to develop a crush on him. As Tuka desperately needs mana to fight Leland, Isaac discloses that Mess has saturated Marguerite's body fluids with mana. To help Tuka recover, Marguerite reluctantly concludes that she must urinate into his mouth, as she cannot cry, and refuses to let him lick her sweat. At the last possible moment, Tuka realizes that Leland is not a necromancer, he merely uses a crystal to manipulate the dead. Tuka exposes the crystal, and Marguerite smashes it. Leland is captured, but a demon appears, bringing a defeated Cerwela. Tuka's skull is broken, and he dies. Marguerite, having fallen in love with Tuka, cries enough tears to regenerate his body. He uses the hero's sword to defeat the demon. Elsewhere, the necromancer controlling the demon finds Tuka interesting. Leland is imprisoned and goes insane, while Marguerite realizes that crying to release her repressed emotions has cured her mess. The king rewards Tuka with a magic-powered carriage, and Marguerite secretly stows away to join the hero's party. Tuka realizes that preventing his body from rotting uses a lot of magic, and he only has a few weeks before becoming a powerless skeleton again. Anri and Marguerite playfully argue over who will marry Tuka one day. Yuna questions her feelings for Tuka and, upset by Marguerite's presence, decides to leave. Yuna is bitten by the undead and starts turning into a zombie. She tries to insult Tuka into abandoning her, but he refuses. Both of them are rescued by Spearman Belarco, who knows that Tuka is not the hero. Belarco suggests seeking refuge at Mayor Dot's mansion. Yuna fully transforms into a zombie, but Anri manages to control her using necromancy. Anri reveals that the zombies are actually people cursed with a spell that heightens aggression and reduces self-control, transmitted through bites. To find the one who cast the curse, Anri suggests temporarily possessing Yuna to maintain control. Tuka volunteers, but it becomes clear that his intentions are not entirely noble as he tries to grope Yuna's body. Anri and Marguerite thwart his lecherous attempts, even tying him up overnight. A demon breaks into the mansion, allowing zombies to enter. After saving Mayor Dot, he leads the survivors, including warriors Colin and Negan, to a secret panic room. Tuka eventually remembers that Colin and Negan were allies of Leland during the skeleton incident. Marguerite offers them a reduced sentence in exchange for their help, which they reluctantly accept. Demons and a high-ranking devil destroy the panic room, leaving Marguerite half-naked. Belarco is thrown into the river, unable to help. Tuka surprises everyone by killing a demon with his sword, even though his soul is currently in Yuna. Using the sword without the hero Sion's body should be impossible, unless Tuka possesses a truly heroic soul. Marguerite is thrilled at the thought of marrying Tuka if he's the new hero. However, Colin is bitten and then stabbed by necromancer Diego, who had controlled a demon during the Leland incident. Diego hopes that Tuca and Anri will join the necromancers in their plan to wipe out humans in retaliation for massacring necromancers after Sion sealed Hell's Gate. Tuca refuses, and Diego directs his zombies to attack them. Tuca bluffs, claiming he used a power greater than the heroes to kill Sion, the power of Lush Eyes. Diego hesitates, and he is ultimately crushed by Dot, who's driving Tuca's magic carriage. Dot was bribed by the chance to see Marguerite naked in stockings. Dot also brings another legendary hero, Millie Yunis, Yuna's sister, their pervy father Fury, who prefers breasts over thighs, and Millie's party members Shannon and Dorothy. Diego flees but reveals that the zombies will turn into demons in 24 hours. Tuca rounds up the zombies and promises Colin that he will kill Diego's demon to save them. Tuca manages to pretend he is Yuna to her family. Millie claims she is engaged to Tuca, whom she loves, much to Marguerite's dismay. Fury, who despises Tuca, insists that Yuna return home, claiming she is too weak to be of any use in a fight, which angers Tuca. Diego ambushes them with an army of necromancers and demons. Demons controlled by a necromancer kill everyone except Tuca. When the necromancer moves to take his sword, Tuca reveals it was a trick. Anri had stolen control of the demons while everyone faked being killed. Tuca realizes that the necromancer is Ethel, the woman who taught him survival skills after his parents' deaths. His reaction makes Millie realize that Tuca is controlling Yuna's body, leading to the revelation that Tuca accidentally killed Sion. Ethel explains that she was there when Hell's Gate reopened, and what she witnessed led her to support the necromancers. She advises Tuca and Anri to go and see for themselves. Tuca convinces Ethel to accompany them. Diego is amazed that the mysterious Lush Eyes even defeated Ethel as he watches. Dot and Belarco board a boat to inform Marguerite's father of the situation. Fury and Ethel turn out to be old enemies. Ethel takes them to have the carriage repaired by Leto, the blind craftsman, who happens to be Sion's grandfather. During the repairs, Tuca learns that Millie is not technically a hero since her sacred sword is man-made. Only Tuca's genuine sacred sword can seal Hell's Gate. Ethel reveals that the necromancers now control the Demon King's 4 generals. Millie is confident that Tuca will find a way to save Yuna from becoming a demon. Tuca awakens in the past when his parents were still alive. However, he quickly realizes that this isn't real, as everyone in this world acts mindless and unresponsive. Yuna appears, and it becomes clear that they are inside a magical illusion based on their childhood memories. This illusion is a result of their souls sharing Yuna's body. They journey through various memories, starting from their first meeting and progressing through significant moments in their lives, including the day Tuca left his hometown of Ulvania. Yuna regrets the day she fought with him and didn't get a chance to say goodbye. As they reach the memory of the day Tuca's mother was killed, Tuca is finally able to bid her farewell. The next memory shows that Tuca was present when Hell's Gate reopened. Yuna is taken aback by how much of Tuca's painful past he kept from her and how it was his feelings for her that helped him survive until he returned home. Their introspection is interrupted by a devil who has infiltrated Tuca's mind and forced him to relive his worst memories for amusement. Realizing that they must defeat the devil to be free, Tuca searches for a memory of himself as a true hero. However, the devil can read his mind to predict his moves. Tuca figures out that the devil can only enter one mind at a time and is unable to see Yuna. Knowing this, Yuna takes control of Tuca's arm movements, and they manage to kill the devil. Upon waking up in reality, Tuca discovers that he can now see and speak to Yuna's soul. Tuca's soul is forced back into Sion's body due to Yuna's soul regaining consciousness. They attempt to hide Yuna's body in the carriage, but are caught by Fury. Belarco and Dot reach the city. Diego and the necromancers manage to defeat the order of magical warriors sent by Marguerite's father. Dot convinces Marguerite's father to send an army of knights, and Isaac and Cerwela accompany them. They also take along the imprisoned Kyle, who survived Tuca's attempt to drown him. Fury forgives Tuca under the condition that he admits breasts are superior to thighs. Leto, who can see souls despite his blindness, is delighted to see Sion's soul hiding in the hero sword. Free again, Kyle still plans to steal Sion's body from Tuca. Upon reaching Ulvania to confront Diego, Ethel betrays Tuca and stabs him with a soul-destroying weapon, seemingly killing him permanently. However, this was a ruse to get Sion's body inside safely, as Anri had actually put Tuca's soul back in his own body. Disguised as demons, Tuca and Anri get close to Adele, the demon responsible for creating zombies. Tuca puts her to sleep with a spell, but before he can behead her, they are stopped by necromancer Friedrich, Anri's older brother whom she believed was dead. Yuna and the zombies now have only an hour before becoming demons. Friedrich is furious with Anri for siding with humans but admits that he doesn't want to kill all humans, just the royals and nobles responsible for massacring necromancers 3 years ago. Despite sharing his pain, Anri chooses to save lives by siding with Tuka. Diego arrives and, with the power of Demon General Vertex, absorbs Adele. To save Yuna, Tuka must somehow defeat Diego. Millie and Marguerite kill many demons using traps left behind by Tuka 3 years ago. Diego merges with Vertex for the duel but is betrayed by Ethel, who pins him down long enough for Tuka to repossess Sion's corpse and stab Diego. Unfortunately, one of Vertex's powers completely absorbs magic attacks, leaving Diego unharmed. Friedrich confronts Ethel. Yuna remembers Sion defeating Vertex close to their village and realizes that Vertex can only block attacks he can see coming. So, if he is attacked randomly from multiple directions, some attacks will hit him. Marguerite is confronted by another necromancer. Tuka and Diego wound each other repeatedly, but Tuka runs out of mana first and takes a mana potion, despite already experiencing overdose symptoms, and passes out. Belarco and Kyle arrive nearby. Yuna's body only has 15 minutes before becoming a demon. Kyle arrives seeking revenge on Tuka, but their confrontation is cut short as Tuka awakens inside the hero's sword. He meets Sion, who shows him a doorway filled with naked women, except they're all wearing stockings. Sion reveals that this is a gift from the sword, an afterlife tailored to Tuka's deepest desires. However, Sion explains that if Tuka chooses to enter this paradise, he won't be able to save Yuna. Tuka doesn't hesitate and chooses to return to save Yuna. He goes back to Sion's body, while Sion's soul temporarily inhabits Tuka's body to fight alongside him. Diego is defeated with only seconds to spare, and is torn apart by demons in revenge for his murder of Adele. Yuna's soul returns to her body, completely cured. In the aftermath, both Ethel and Friedrich disappear. As the new hero, Tuka is surrounded by adoring women, but Yuna jealously drags him into a nearby bedroom. After some hesitation and arguing, she decides to reward him for saving her by letting him worship her thighs in a bikini and stockings. However, she flees when Tuka reveals that Sion can probably see her from inside the sword. Marguerite correctly deduces that Yuna has fallen in love with Tuka and becomes her friend and rival for his affection. At Sion's urging, Tuka delays going to Hell's Gate until he has permanently increased his mana levels. To achieve this, Sion orders Kyle and Dorothy to guide Tuka to a mana manipulation expert, the Sage.